Why is it that no matter how much you achieve, no matter how many times you succeed, that whisper of self-doubt still follows you? You stand in front of opportunities, you stand before challenges, and yet your own mind becomes the loudest critic. It tells you that you're not good enough, that you'll fail, that others are better, stronger, more deserving. And strangely, you listen. You give weight to the voice inside your head that diminishes you, even though deep down you know it has no real authority. What if I told you that the Stoics, those ancient philosophers of resilience and clarity, discovered a way to silence that voice, not by denying it, but by transforming your relationship with it? The truth is, self-doubt has always been part of the human condition. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest emperors of Rome and a devoted Stoic, wrote in his private journals about his constant struggle to remain firm in the face of criticism, fear, and insecurity. Imagine that, the most powerful man in the known world, doubting himself, just as you and I do. Yet what made him different is that he never allowed that doubt to control his actions. He understood that the voice of fear is not a command, but a suggestion, and one you do not have to obey. The Stoics teach us that the mind is like a stage where thoughts come and go, but not all deserve applause. Self-doubt is just one actor in the play, and yet we often let it dominate the performance. Why? Because we confuse our passing feelings with our permanent identity. The Stoics remind us that a thought is not who you are, but merely something that occurs within you. Epictetus said it clearly. It is not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. In other words, it's not the challenge that makes you tremble. It's your interpretation, your story about your own worth. Think about how much energy you lose to self-doubt. How many times have you hesitated, delayed, or abandoned something meaningful because of the possibility of failure? The Stoics would see this as a tragic waste of life. For them, time is the most precious resource. Seneca warned that we often act as though life is endless, but it is slipping away by the moment. Every time you surrender to self-doubt, you are not only avoiding risk, you are wasting the limited gift of existence. And for the Stoic, there is nothing more irrational than throwing away the time you will never get back. But how do we break this cycle? The Stoics offer us a practical path. First, they urge us to distinguish between what is within our control and what is not. Doubt thrives on uncertainty. It whispers, what if they reject you? What if you fail? But the Stoics ask, is the outcome truly yours to command? No. What is yours is the effort, the discipline, the clarity of intention. You cannot control the applause or the criticism, but you can control the work you put forth. When you anchor yourself in what is truly yours, your choices, your virtues, your actions, you stop being a prisoner of fear. Self-doubt is often rooted in comparison. You look at others and measure yourself against their achievements, their confidence, their success. But Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It is not the opinions of others that should guide your life, but the light of reason within." The moment you realize that another person's path is theirs alone, you free yourself from the impossible task of living up to every external standard. You are here to walk your own road, not to shadow someone else's. Consider how the Stoics approached failure itself. In our modern world, failure is seen as shameful, as proof that we are unworthy. But to the Stoic, failure is neither good nor bad. It is information. Epictetus advised his students to treat setbacks as a chance to learn what lies within their power and what does not. If you stumble, you gain knowledge. If you succeed, you gain progress. Either way, you grow. So how could failure diminish you if every outcome becomes part of your development? There is also the Stoic practice of negative visualization, which may seem strange at first. They would imagine the worst-case scenario, not to terrify themselves, but to prepare their minds. Imagine you attempt something and fail. What then? Will the world end? Will you cease to exist? No. You will still breathe, still rise the next morning, still have the power to choose again. When you strip failure of its exaggerated power, your self-doubt loses its sharpest weapon. The fear of the unknown transforms into the acceptance of possibility. But there's something deeper beneath all of this. The Stoics believed that the universe is governed by reason, by a divine order that gives meaning to our struggles. When you doubt yourself, you often assume that life is hostile, that you are alone against an indifferent world. Yet the Stoics remind us, you are part of the whole, a fragment of the greater cosmos. To doubt yourself is, in some sense, to doubt the very order of things. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You are a part of the universe. You cannot be harmed by what belongs to the whole." This means that your existence itself carries worth, not because of your achievements, but because you belong here. So the next time you hear the voice of self-doubt, pause. Ask yourself, is this thought within my control? Does it reflect reality, or just a story I've told myself for too long? Am I wasting the precious time of my life listening to shadows instead of walking toward the light? The Stoics would urge you to act not recklessly, but with courage grounded in reason. For courage is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. But here is the paradox the Stoics understood with such clarity. Self-doubt can become your ally if you train it. Instead of letting it cripple you, you can use it as a mirror, a reflection of where your values are misplaced, or where you've let external noise drown out your inner compass. Marcus Aurelius himself wrestled with constant uncertainty, yet he learned to transform those moments into opportunities to strengthen his mind. He wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Notice the simplicity of that. Doubt dissolves when you commit to the truth, not to what others demand of you, but to what is right. Think about how often your self-doubt comes from performing for someone else's script. You wonder if you are good enough, not by your own standards, but by the world's. You measure your worth against a yardstick that was never yours to begin with. The Stoics remind us, stop asking the crowd for your value. Stop giving away your peace to people who do not carry your soul. Epictetus said it clearly, when you attach your sense of worth to things you cannot control, you are enslaving yourself. And what is self-doubt if not a chain you forged from other people's opinions? Now imagine this. You wake up tomorrow and decide to live by one principle. I will measure myself only by what is within my control. You will no longer obsess over what others think of your voice, your choices, your path. Instead, you will ask, did I act with integrity? Did I use my reason? Did I live in alignment with virtue? Suddenly, the noise fades. The question, am I good enough, transforms into, am I aligned with my values? And that is a question you can always answer with clarity. Let's bring this into practice. The Stoics had exercises, mental disciplines, to train this way of thinking. One of them is negative visualization. Picture the very thing you fear: rejection, failure, humiliation. Instead of hiding from it, you face it head-on. You strip it of its mystery. You realize, even if it happens, you remain. You can still choose how to respond. You can still act with courage. And in that moment, your doubt no longer commands you. You command it. Another exercise is the view from above. Imagine rising above your life, seeing yourself from the perspective of the cosmos. From that height, what is the opinion of one person? What is one setback? Insignificant, almost laughably small. Seneca urged his students to remember the brevity of life, the vastness of time. Your self-doubt shrinks when placed against the infinite. Why waste the short years of your life in chains of insecurity when you were meant to live freely, fully, fiercely? But let's go deeper. Doubt does not only come from the fear of others. It also comes from the fear of yourself. The nagging suspicion that maybe you cannot handle the challenges life will bring. Here too, Stoicism offers a response. Practice voluntary discomfort. Sleep without luxury for a night. Fast for a day. Walk instead of driving. Confront small hardships willingly, so when greater ones arrive, you know yourself as someone who can endure. Self-doubt fades in the fire of tested strength. You no longer just believe, you know that you are capable. You see, the Stoics did not preach comfort, they preached resilience. And resilience is the antidote to doubt. When you have walked through difficulty by choice, your mind whispers to you, if I could endure that, I can endure this. That whisper grows louder than the voices of fear. And soon, it is no longer doubt that defines you, but quiet confidence, earned not by praise, but by practice. There is one more piece of wisdom we must not forget. The Stoics remind us that the self we so often doubt, the self we criticize, belittle, or dismiss, is not truly ours. It is transient, ever-changing, fragile. Your body ages, your reputation shifts, your possessions scatter. But the part of you that is truly yours, the ruling faculty, the reasoned mind, that is untouchable, it cannot be taken from you. Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That is the great turning point. Self-doubt fades when you place your trust not in outcomes, not in appearances, but in your reason, your virtue, your choices. You stop waiting for the world to validate you and instead build a fortress within. That fortress is not arrogance, not pride, but calm clarity. You may falter, you may stumble, but you always return to what is within your control. That is where confidence is born. So the next time self-doubt whispers to you, pause. Ask yourself, whose voice is this? Is it truly mine, or is it the echo of someone else's judgment? And if it is not yours, why carry it? Release it. Stand firm in what you know to be true. Doubt may still knock on your door, but you no longer have to invite it in. If you take one thing from the Stoics, let it be this. Self-doubt is not a curse. It is a signal, a reminder to return to what is within your control, to live by reason, to act with virtue. You will not silence it completely, but you will master it. And when you do, you will discover a freedom deeper than confidence. You will discover the serenity of someone unshaken by opinion, unbroken by failure, and untouchable by fear. Now, I want to ask you something. How has self-doubt shown up in your life? Has it kept you from pursuing something you knew you were meant for? Or has it ever taught you a lesson you couldn't have learned otherwise? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. And remember this, you are not alone in this battle. The greatest minds in history, from Marcus to Seneca to Epictetus, fought with the same shadows. But they did not surrender. Neither should you. If they could transform doubt into wisdom, so can you. So the next time doubt rises, smile at it. Say, I see you, but I know my path. Then walk forward, steady and unafraid. That is the Stoic way. That is your way. If this video gave you something to reflect on, don't forget to like it, share it with someone who might need it, and subscribe to the channel for more content on philosophy and the inner life. Until next time, hold fast, live with virtue, and never let your doubts define you.